Here we go. They play each other on the opening Monday night of the season. If I said J.J. McCarthy actually has more to prove than the much dissected Caleb Williams does in week one, what say Lou?
I agree with you. Look, he only played one game last year before he got hurt. I believe it was against the Las Vegas Raiders in the preseason. He's only played in 2 series this preseason, and then Kevin O'Connell put him on ice, which I agreed with, because I think, look, they have seen now through 2 off seasons what this young man looks like. They believe that they have got it going on with him, but he hasn't done it for an extended period of time, even in the preseason, let alone the regular season. So, yeah, he's got a ton to prove, because Minnesota, to me, is going to be one of the favorites to win the North.
They have a lot of really good weapons, don't they?
No question about it, and he needs time with Justin Jefferson.
Well, Adam Schefter literally knew our rundown this morning, so he knew we'd be talking about the Vikings, and moments ago he just tweeted that the Vikings have completed a trade in which they have received Adam Thielen. So Adam Thielen has been traded to the Vikings. This from Adam Schefter. And I was told it in my ear literally as you were talking. So that just happened. So that is another weapon for this Minnesota team that feels completely loaded. They'll have no Jordan Addison for the first few weeks. Yep. Now they bring in a guy in Adam Thielen. Maybe he helps bridge that gap.
Yeah, I think Thielen helps on the field, but I think he also really helps with that locker room, because I think that he's a guy who understands what it's like in Minnesota. Has been there for a while, has been through some ups and downs, and they have a good thing going there. And I think the more veteran guys who are hungry at the end of their career that know what it means to be a champ, or know what it means to work and get close, it helps that locker room out.
Thielen played for the Vikings in 2013 through 2022. Extremely productive through a lot of those years. Obviously, an older player now. Harry, your thoughts on this Minnesota offense and J.J. McCarthy and all of the dissection that we have done all this time about Caleb Williams. Here's J.J. McCarthy, who's got, I think, just as much to show on the road in the opener in Chicago.
Yeah, he's in the best situation of any first or second year quarterback, and all he has to do, in my opinion, is not go out there and mess it up. You have playmakers all across the board. You're going to have a top offensive line. You have Aaron Jones in the backfield. You're going to have a solid defense. Go out there and make the plays. Now, this is a player who also played for Jim Harbaugh. So I'm putting extreme pressure on him, because you know what it's like to be a pro before you even got to the National Football League, being at Michigan, playing under the tutelage of Jim Harbaugh.
See, you know what the thing I love about J.J. McCarthy, when you listen to him talk, you read about him, you have the coaches who talk about him. Look, Coach Harbaugh said he's the best quarterback in the University of Michigan's history. Now, that's a pretty big statement, and I know he's prone to some hyperbole, but I kind of see where he's going with this. Because if you listen to the coaching staff up there in Minnesota, look, there's no way that you would set a young man like this down, regardless of the injury risk that you may be subjecting him to, especially coming off of that meniscus injury, unless you felt as though he had a very unique level of maturity. Especially now, again, he didn't have a veteran backup behind him at the time that he sat him down, until now they have Carson Wentz up there. They really, really believe in this guy. And I get that same feeling the more and more you research about J.J. McCarthy.
By the way, before everyone loses their collective mind and saying, didn't Tom Brady go to Michigan? Harbaugh meant in college.
In college, not in the pros.
And McCarthy was the first Michigan quarterback to go in round 1 since Harbaugh did in the late 80s. Right. So we will see. Which of these, the over-under on wins for the Vikings at ESPN Bet Sportsbook is 8.5. It's a team that won 14 games last year. They're begging you to take the over.
And I mean, I think that's attractive, because it's the uncertainty around J.J. McCarthy. And if you believe what you're hearing out of camp, and players know, coaches know, we'll say some nonsense about a guy who's not playing well to try to instill some confidence, but there is no joking. It happens in practice, then it happens in a game. Yeah. No one plays, very rarely, is someone bad in practice, then shows up in balls, and someone's balling in practice, and then shows up as a Hall of Fame quarterback. That doesn't happen. So the things that you're hearing out there feel real.
Okay, so again, that's the news that we literally got whilst having this conversation. Adam Thielen, so productive in Minnesota for so many years, is headed back. Let's go back to what say Lou, and one that I would describe myself as terrified of. If I said
these quarterbacks are throwing the ball more accurate, and these offensive gurus that are calling plays are getting smarter. And the one in Minnesota just got a weapon back into its lineup. Adam Thielen, traded from Carolina Panthers back home to Minnesota Vikings. Congrats, Adam Thielen.
Welcome home.
And congrats to the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Carolina Panthers obviously showed a lot of promise at the end of last year. Bryce Young might not be a bust, right? Everybody was calling him one, might not be at all. He might be a guy. They were calling him the Steph Curry of football when he was coming out of college. Down in Carolina, nothing was really working. Even the ownership wasn't really going well. End of last year, they found it. Adam Thielen, we thought, was going to be a part of the growth and development of the Carolina Panthers. Instead, he's going back to Minnesota to join the Vikings. Congrats to All parties. Feels like Carolina's happy with a 5th-round pick and a 4th-round pick. Thielen's going back home. There was a video of his family celebrating going back home. Obviously, he's from Minnesota, went to high school in Minnesota. He actually had to go to a regional tryout to even make it to a tryout. He had to go to a tryout to make it to a tryout to get into the NFL. He had to pay his own way into said camp tryout to get a look. Ends up on the Vikings, becomes a Pro Bowler, becomes a All-Pro, gets a massive deal with Carolina Panthers, has to leave home now towards end of career. We don't know how many years he has left. He probably doesn't either. Heading back to Minnesota in an offense that is really good. They're restructuring his contract, so obviously he's probably taking a pay cut. Now he joins Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, J.J. McCarthy, and Aaron Jones, let alone their tight ends, who are absolute dogs. They got old buddy that they traded from Detroit. Hawkinson, who's a beast, and also, who am I missing there? I apologize to the other guy. That's 100% on me, but this Minnesota Vikings team might be the year for Minnesota to get back into the big dance. Last year, remember, they were playing in the final week of the season against the Detroit Lions for the #1 seed in the NFC, and this year they're looking to do the same. Is J.J. McCarthy a guy or not? We shall see. Everybody that knows him says yes, he is a guy. Footage coming out of camp, he is a guy. They talk about his leadership qualities from whenever he was at Michigan, he is a guy. High school, IMG, he is a guy. So all signs are saying J.J. McCarthy should be a perfect quarterback for this Minnesota Vikings team. And if he is, B-Flow in the defense, great. Offense just got another weapon. Kevin O'Connell's still a super genius. Look out for the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC North, in the NFC, and maybe the whole fucking Super Bowl.
Whoa.
Those are big words, but that's how every team can feel at this moment because no game.
Situation in case Tyreek becomes available, Tyreek, I should say. His numbers went way down last season. Yards pretty much cut in half. Touchdowns pretty much cut in half from that 23 season.
Tua didn't play a lot of the season.
Tua Tagovailoa was injured for much of the season, but what season hasn't he been injured for the most part? Tyreek Hill tied for the 10th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL right now, as a bunch of guys have jumped ahead of him, like Terry McLaurin back in with the Commanders. That thing rolled before I thought it would, so it kind of threw me off. This is a division preview of the AFC East presented by Verizon. We will edit that later. That's Pete Prisco. That's Kyle Long. We've got the Dolphins here in a situation where it doesn't feel like they're in position to win this year, right? But I feel like they have to win for Mike McDaniel, but then you have Tyreek Hill, and should you try to get something for him right now or just stay the course and play him?
He made it easy for you when he told you he didn't want to be there, okay? And you've heard Tua talk about this at the podium, and he says kind of what I would imagine the 52 other guys on the roster would say is, we heard you loud and clear, Tyreek. So it's either he has shown beyond the shadow of a doubt that he wants to be there and he's bought in and he's focused and he's not going to be a distraction, or the Dolphins have to make a deal. And I'll tell it to you like this. The Dolphins had a track team offensively for a few years. Now they're starting to try to get some big old butts up there in the middle. I look at this guy, Patrick Paul, who's filling in for Teron Armstead, the investment in the offensive guard, James Daniels from the Pittsburgh Steelers. This team is trying to be a little bit more black and blue up front. They're trying to be able to run the football and not just rely on speed. So if Mike McDaniel is who I think he is in terms of his offensive intelligence, he should be able to build this thing one of two ways, with or without Tyreek Hill.
When I talked to Tyreek, we had him on camera. I interviewed him on camera, and one of the things he said, I'm much more focused now. And this is the most he's done in the offseason ever in his career. He's down to 188 pounds. He said he got too heavy, felt a little sluggish. He's back to his Chiefs playing weight. And I asked him, I said, well, why weren't you more focused the rest of your career? And he really have a great answer for it, because he would just let it. These guys think they're invincible, and they let it slip away. He still ran 10.15 in that when he ran that 100. I mean, the guy can fly.
I've never been around anybody like Tyreek Hill.
It's unreal.
Physically.
And let me tell you, I don't think if you're the Miami Dolphins, you trade him. Chris Greer, the general manager, Mike McDaniel, their jobs are on the line. Yeah. And if your job's on the line, you're not trading Tyreek Hill. You're going to try and win as many football games as you can. So even if there's an offer out there for him, I think you're going to keep Tyreek Hill and try and win games.
I got to watch their joint practice against the Bears. And one of the guys I was really excited about watching, Tyreek, he wasn't in practice.
He didn't. Last week I was
standing right next to Mike McDaniel, and I was teammates with him in Kansas City. And I walked up and I told him, there is no more fun version of the NFL than when Tyreek Hill is the best receiver in football.
Correct.
And I kind of was like, have a great year, bud. And, now we wait and see.
Yeah.
Does Tyreek come out on fire again?
You know what I told him? I said, you only have so many earning years in your body. Quit being a knucklehead and go play football.
Well, maybe he's maturing. Back to his Kansas City playing weight.
And you know what?
Maybe it took this long.
I'm telling you, they need him. And that guy needs him. Mike McDaniel needs him.
So does Tua.
Yeah, I think they keep him.
Okay, let's move on to the New England Patriots. They are among the teams expected to make a big jump this season.